Welcome, everyone, to the Thursday, September 11th, 2025 meeting of the Village of Lansing Staff and Board of Trustees meeting. Today is a somewhat unusual meeting. We have a guest speaker that we will start with, but before that, I will call roll. Susan Ainsley.
Present.
Pat Gillespie here. Carolyn Greenwald.
Here.
Kathleen Yen.
Here.
And Ronnie Hardaway here. So we have a full quorum. John Courtney who is normally here for the beginning of the meeting, had an emergency inspection to oversee. He said he would be a few minutes late. And besides that, today we have Rich DiPaolo with us, and Rich is the author of the letter that we have reviewed, and also I think he authored or at least provided the template for our resolution. And Rich is the deputy supervisor for the town of Ithaca. So basically, Rich, can you give us just a brief description or what was the origination of your letter? I've heard it, but the trustees have.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to try to distill it down to bite-sized pieces. Hopefully the letter is self-explanatory, but the origin of this initiative here, this sort of coalition letter, is that the Ithaca Area Wastewater Treatment Plant is facing a potential permit modification for a couple of constituents in its effluent. We were already planning a capital improvement. For backstory, I also chair the joint committee that oversees the operation of that plant. And we were planning a capital improvement project to the tune of $60 to $100 million that would have retained our conventional biological treatment. There was a stakeholder meeting back in March between DEC, Environmental Facilities Corporation, and other stakeholders to sort of preface the funding, try to get the funding on track, and then DEC flagged a couple of our data points and came forward with a potential permit modification for ammonia and nitrate that would add roughly $100 million to a project that was already going to cost $50 million. So naturally, we have sticker shock. We are completely beside ourselves, not just financially, but from a regulatory perspective. The internal guidance that DEC uses to develop permits calls for a sort of more holistic analysis of the south end of the lake, of all the various contributing sources, not just the point sources, but also the tributaries and everything else. And so rather than rush to this outcome where they're hanging $100 million on our ratepayers, which by extension include parts of your village as well, we are advocating quite strongly for the total maximum daily load process that's specified in their technical documents. And our feeling is that if we are able to coalesce as the 6 entities that are party to the sort of group of 6 intermunicipal wastewater agreement, we might have more, maybe more persuasive at this point.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, basically we just had a meeting with DEC on Monday. They are sort of potentially warming up to the idea of allowing us to conduct a new mixing zone analysis to determine whether or not the dilution ratio that they are considering is accurate or not. All we're looking for is an opportunity to sort of either corroborate their model or to sort of recalibrate their model, because it's 40 years old. It was devised at a time when the plant was only rated for 10 million gallons a day. The plant was subsequently re-rated to 13.1, and yet the metrics that they're using in the statistical models haven't changed at all. So, and despite the fact that, never mind the fact that they're relying solely on a statistical model rather than any in-lake sampling to determine whether there actually is a problem there. So
right.
That's what we're looking to achieve,
okay.
And hopefully with help in the other partners for the wastewater agreement, we'll be able to at least elevate the visibility of this concern.
Okay, well, thank you.
So if there's any questions, feel free to.
Rich is here to answer any questions any of you might have. So if you've got any questions after reading Rich's.
Just as you probably can surmise, you have an agreement with Cayuga Heights. Cayuga Heights has an agreement with us.
Right.
Everything flows downhill.
Right.
And to the extent that there's an additional $100 million to be paid over a period of time, it's going to run upstream to all of the users.
Everybody.
So, and that makes it a little bit less inviting to join a regional wastewater management regime, and sort of we think it might actually force people to continue to build septic systems and so forth. The cost of point of sewage becomes prohibitive. So that's where it's at.
Understand.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
I just had a couple of questions. So you cite the research from the 80s.
Right.
But I didn't see anything cited more recently.
Well, that's part of our concern, is that we have research from the 80s that was commissioned at a time when what water quality standards for ammonia were being considered at the federal level. And there was as the plant was being redesigned, there was a question as to whether or not the discharge would violate water quality standards for ammonia. And then the partners hired Liz Moran at that point in time. She concluded through a multi-year study that there wouldn't be a toxicity at the edge of our mixing zone. And so even though that data is 40 years old, a lot of her in-lake data is probably useful, and her conclusions at least warrant that they support our request for in-lake research now. I don't think it can be summarily dismissed just because it was 40 years ago. The idea is that the lake has assimilative capacity for these substances, and we're not saying that our discharge is pristine, and within the area of dilution, there is, I wouldn't drink the water there, and I wouldn't recommend anybody else, but after a reasonable period of time, the lake is able to absorb these constituents. The constituents of concern actually are converted through biological processes to nitrate, which is not considered to be of concern in the lake by any measure. The DEC concluded that last year after 20 years of looking at the lake itself. So in some ways we're asking, you have this 20-year study that was revolving around nutrient and silt loading related to phosphorus. After 20 years, they're telling us phosphorus is the problem, and yet 1 year later, they're saying you and your nitrogen is a problem. So we're saying, wait a minute, what about all these issues that you identified related to phosphorus? Why aren't we concentrating on dealing with the problems that we know exist?
So you're permitted through 2029 now, correct?
Well, yeah, but the problem was that they saw that we were embarking on this capital improvement project and said, well, why would you essentially build new expensive components to a plant that might need to be changed if we come at you with these permit modifications after that time? So they're basically forcing that issue now rather than 2020.
So is this part of the grant funding you're applying for as well?
Yeah, and I think the funders understand that there's fluidity in the development of a project of this magnitude, so they're willing to sort of see what comes out of the technical process. To the extent, nobody can guarantee what money is going to be available down the road anyway, but I think that our compliance schedule right now is being put out at about 8 years. But as you can imagine, when you're spending $100 million to remodel a sewage treatment plant, by the time you get through design and construction, it could easily push against the mid-year deadline. So.
And I have to apologize, I haven't been following that closely. Did the city actually approve another independent study on the capital improvement?
Well, we have a consultant who's developing the capital improvement. Barton
Yeah.
That's right. And for what it's worth, their team kind of looked at our analysis of the regulatory regime independently, and they agree with us that they concur that DEC should be following a more sort of holistic approach to this rather than singling out wastewater treatment plans.
And did they, I'm just curious, did DEC in their recommendations specifically require the bioreactor membrane technology?
They didn't require it.
Yeah.
Our consultant said in order to meet these proposed permit limits, this is the technology that we would most likely have to go with. Mm-hmm. And so that happened on the consulting side as a result of the numerical limits that were imposed.
And would that technology cover other voluntary rather than regulatory?
Potentially deal with other things that could come down the road, like PFAS,
right,
things of that nature, but there are other ways of dealing with those constituents as well.
Currently, that's not regulated, right?
Not regulated.
Voluntary.
And nobody knows when if that's going to
Yeah.
come down. But that is, obviously that's part of the discussion as well. We certainly don't want to retain biological treatment alone if we're going to have to deal with a number of other things that currently aren't required down the road. And there's more to come on this for sure. We have another meeting scheduled with DEC in a month to see how the new mixing zone and dilution study plays out. We have a preliminary study that is going to be based on more current computer models than the ones that existed 4+ years ago. And then we'll see if that changes our dilution ratio. That might tilt the balance in our favor. We'll know more in a month, as far as I go.
So what is the deadline and for the letter resolution?
Well, I mean, to me, the other municipalities, I think, I think Town of Lansing is considering on the 17th, the Town of Dryden is voting tonight. Town of Ithaca's already approved. I'm not exactly sure what the city's doing, but there is, the sooner the better. Anytime there's a linear process in motion with a regulatory entity, I would say that the sooner we can send them something that indicates that we have a coalition, the better.
It sounds like you want something before your next meeting with.
Yeah, I'm not leaving this room until you approve it.
So excuse me for interrupting.
Oh, no.
We'll come back to you if you've got more questions.
Sorry.
So basically, our consideration of this letter and a resolution allowing me to sign is basically, hopefully, would give a little more weight to your side of the story and pressing the DEC to further the study before.
And I would hope that you would agree that our side of the story is also your side of the story.
Absolutely.
And that you have a stake in what happens.
Yeah, but we won't be in that meeting with the DEC. That's my point. This is just like we have all of these partners and all of the communities.
Right, I think it's just a way of saying, look, there are a lot of people depending ultimately on this plant, and everybody wants capacity, everybody wants sewer, and Cayuga Heights is up against it too, potentially, with their discharge. I understand that their Speedy's permit is being rebuilt from the ground up, so at some point they're going to be looking down the barrel of this as well. And to whatever extent we can establish a precedent for a sort of holistic watershed analysis rather than something that sort of points fingers at the point source discharges, I think that's to our benefit. So.
Right, it's like a whack-a-mole theory, knock this one down and that one down.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting.
Because I don't want to sit here and all this while you guys talk about this stuff. So, but if there's any more questions, I'm certainly happy.
Yeah, I've got more questions from anyone.
All right, well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to.
Thanks for coming, Rich.
More.
And again, you put a lot of work into the letter, and I appreciate it.
I have certain obsessive tendencies. Let's just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're on that topic, does anyone have a problem with allowing me to sign the letter on behalf of the village within this framework?
I don't have any concerns.
I
Pat,
support the request in the letter.
how about you, Kathleen?
Primarily, the request is, we're looking for a way to spend less money that could potentially be passed on to the rate, our taxpayers. On the other hand, they are, I don't know the status of the Barton study, which may, you also have to look long range at the emerging contaminants and the ones that are currently not regulated.
Right.
That do impact water quality. So, that being said, I'm sure that topic's been up and running, so cost is a concern.
I think cost is a concern, but also they're not saying
Right.
our opposition is because of the cost, our opposition is because of the methodology, and can we consider other methodology, and then come back to whether or not we need the cost? Because it might turn out that you do, but it may turn out that you don't, and then in which case you wouldn't want to spend that much money.
And I don't
being
think
sure.
it wasn't clear that particular methodology was the only methodology under
You mean the
consideration.
DECs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it sounds like it's a work in progress.
Oh, I think we're all pretty aware that this type of technology is going to be expensive, but when you toss that much money at a problem, you need to be sure you're solving the problem, rather than throwing money that, we'll have to adjust this down the road, and it's gonna cost more. Why not step back, measure twice, and cut once, and do it right the first time, rather than just continually throw money at the problem until you think you've got it solved. That's my interpretation of it. So I will move the resolution that I forwarded to you also. This is just the title, it's a fairly long resolution. Resolution authorizing mayor to sign municipal coalition letter in opposition to New York State Department of Conservation proposed Ithaca area wastewater treatment facility permit modifications, and in support of state investment in water quality mitigations identified in the Cayuga Lake total maximum daily load for phosphorus. It's even a long title.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Carolyn. Is there any further discussion on the topic?
No.
Okay, all those in
That's the
favor?
whole resolution, because I don't.
No, the whole resolution is the one that I sent. It just goes into lots of whereases. Do you want me to read it all?
I am so sorry, I just have 5 pages.
He shares Rich's letter.
I just have the letter.
Oh, okay, well, the original, my first, for your information, my first email had the letter and the resolution, which was customized just for our village.
I apologize, I don't have that.
Should I read it into the record then?
Remind.
Okay, I'll try. I say it's long, it's long-ish, let's put it that way, it's less than a page. Whereas the Ithaca Area Wastewater Treatment Facility, located at the south end of Cayuga Lake, is a 13.1 million gallons per day capacity treatment plant owned and operated by the city of Ithaca, the town of Ithaca, and the town of Dryden. And whereas the village of Lansing indirectly utilizes treatment at the IAWWTF through an agreement with the village of Cayuga Heights. And whereas IAWWTF owners are currently engaged in the planning phase of a multi-year capital improvement project focusing on the modernization and replacement of aged and failing infrastructure with out-of-pocket costs divided among owners and passed through to non-owner users, including the village of Lansing, via independently negotiated agreements based on usage. And whereas the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation is proposing discharge permit modifications to include limits for ammonia and nitrate, which can be harmful to aquatic life at high concentrations. And whereas the aforementioned modifications are being considered solely based on modeling and have not been corroborated by ambient water quality and biological monitoring near the IAWWTF discharge, or elsewhere in the southern Cayuga Lake water body segment. And whereas the membrane bioreactor technology required to meet the proposed permit limit for nitrate would add $100 million to the cost of the original capital improvement program, which would impose an enormous unsustainable, and unjustifiable financial burden on ratepayers and stakeholder municipalities, including the Village of Lansing, for the indefinite future, and would achieve limited, if any, environmental benefit. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lansing have reviewed the attached letter authored on behalf of the 6 municipal signatories to the 2003 intermunicipal wastewater agreement, supports the positions and recommendations articulated therein, and authorizes the Village of Lansing Mayor Ronnie Hardaway to sign in representation of this body. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 ayes, 1 nay. The resolution passes. So for this resolution, Jody, you will give me a copy for me to officially sign? Or is it?
Don't they have their official copy that they're circulating?
No, it would, this, for the resolution.
Oh, I can do a certified resolution.
Okay. And a certified copy that doesn't say draft would have to come from them, and when we do receive that copy, I'll ask for that, I'll ask Rich for that today. Then I'm not sure how they want me to sign it. They're going to have 6 copies of the same document and a signature on each of those 6 copies. I don't know yet, but whatever they require, I will sign based on our discussion and decision. Okay. All right, thank you all. Okay, back to our normal programming. Mike is out today, taking a vacation. John?
Things are going good. I got a couple questions on that. What's the chances of the state listening to the voices of Ithaca? Is there any feedback from anybody on that?
I think Rich said it as that if they're in negotiations, and it can't hurt negotiations with the state. Sometimes it doesn't matter. If they want something done, they're going to make it an unfunded mandate.
Right.
So you have to do it.
So when would it take effect? Did he give years?
No, I don't think, I think it just depends. If it's got to be done, it would have to be incorporated within their current capital improvement program, the design for the capital improvement. That's why it's important that they get a decision early, so they don't go too far into the design phase, engineering phase, and not include what has to be there. So it's probably going to be several years before that's completed.
Okay. All right, that's all I have on that. We finally were able to pull some binder material out of the blacktop plant here in Lansing. They have been down almost all summer with not producing a base binder for the trail. So a little bit of pressure, I would think we got them up and running, and we pulled 155 ton out a week or so ago, last week or something like that, and paved the trail. Really nice. We've been just, I think I said water breaks, and we've been doing mowings, round mowings. I've been taking a little time off myself. That's really about it. It's kind of just plugging away, getting things done. The paving schedule for, we inspected the culverts on Cuga Hills and Hanville Hills, and they're all rotted out. The bottoms are gone off almost every culvert up in that development. And I don't feel like that's an old development. Do you remember when that come in?
Just after Shannon Park finished.
That mid-90s or something like that?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they really got a good life expectancy out of them. It must be some high acidic water or some kind of very off water down there running in the storm water, just natural. And then they use galvanized pipes, and then when they get high flow, sometimes the rock beats the galvanized off, and most of the pipes nowadays are either plastic or aluminized pipe, which is kind of impregnated through the steel.
Okay.
So we're gonna put that on like a major reconstruction kind of schedule. We'll probably do that in the spring and then pave it. We might try to get the pipes this year if we can, and then put binder in and then pave it in the spring.
Okay.
So there's a lot of pipes. All of them are under guide rails, and that's just, they all have fancy head walls. It's just a major job.
How many, roughly how many?
There's like 4 or 5.
Okay.
And they're long. Typically, we like pipes to cross perpendicular in the road.
Huh.
It's easier to maintain, and it's the shortest distance right across the road. All these pipes are on a skew.
Okay.
They're all at an angle, and they're very long. They're all at least, I would say some of them are up to 100 feet long. So, but anyway, so that's a major reconstruction, and it wasn't planned for, and I mean, we really got down and got some pictures in. So the projects, so far, other than there's, I think, 3 trees under the Robinson contract that need to be replanted this fall for the Graham Road and Dart Drive water line reconstruction.
Okay.
There's 3 trees, and we're basically gonna close that out soon.
Okay.
And they come back and had to fix a couple things. That's why we didn't pave it right away, because there was a hole in the road. And we ruled that is, they must have undermined the asphalt over in, and we did, because it was right on a hydrant tie-in, so we didn't know if they didn't cap the line, and the gravel was seeping out the line. So we typically have it in our contract, the specifications, that they have to put a plug on the lines when they abandon the existing lines.
Sure.
So that's on our schedule to get paved now, and Sheridan Drive, Cinema Drive. So we're good there. Excessive amount of grease coming out of the Benderson development, which is Tops, Applebee's, Mitsubi, I think, restaurant. It's like a
Yeah, Olay and stuff with them too, right?
Asian restaurant of some sort. Wicked amount of grease.
Okay.
Mike and I went out there, we took pictures of it, we talked to Tops, obviously Applebee's is gone. And then they have a new guy that's doing the maintenance, and he called me this morning, we talked, and he just thought it was Applebee's, and I said, it's the whole line, all the way down to the village manhole. There's like 4 manholes involved. So we gotta get that taken care of. We gotta find out what the culprit is, go back to the source. I feel it's a combination of all of them. Not so concerned with Applebee's, because they have I think it's a 1,200 gallon grease separator out back. And typically what happens is hot grease is flushed down the lines. It goes into the separator, which is at the ground temp, and it solidifies it instantly. Where when you have them little under the sink grease separators, if you run enough hot water, you could force the grease in through the baffles.
Yes.
That's supposed to take it out, and you can get it to go down into the lines, private and village side of things. So we caught that under some maintenance. We do maintenance every once or twice a year on certain lines in the village that have a high frequency of low flow. Low flow typically allows the grease to solidify along the sides of the lines. High velocity, like going down into Cedar Lane, it's really ripping down through there. So it doesn't have time to solidify, and it's usually not a problem. It's closer to the source. So we're working on that. Brush pickup is October 6th for the village. Town of Lansing's gonna provide that service for us. Talked to Mike Mosley yesterday, I believe it was, or this morning.
Okay.
And so that's a good one to put in your newsletter there, or in the newsletter. And then that's really, I think that's all I have for now. Any questions, concerns?
I was getting back to the culvert you're going to have to replace. Is there any chance that could slide into our next budget cycle where we could plan for it?
if they can hold up. Right now, that's what triggered us was we typically inspect the culverts anyway when we do a road. And we've been watching this hole in the side of the road on the north side of Roy Parks' property.
Okay.
And we went down and started measuring it. We were gonna get ready to replace it. We thought if it was gonna be one culvert, be an easy deal. I really don't, the village, the storm fund is pretty good. I mean, because if we're after that grant, we're not gonna be needing so much, because it's probably not gonna hear of anything on that grant.
Not till February.
Yeah, February, and that's budget cycle anyway. So by the time if we did get it approved and accepted on the grant, then that would probably start in our next construction season anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a wishy-washy kind of thing, you know. I think we're financially stable enough to do it, but it's gonna take some money because it's major reconstruction.
Is it going to be a contractor job, or can we do?
I think it's gonna be a mix.
Okay.
It's a mix. Because there's deep gorges in there.
Right.
They don't give you any room to kind of work. So we might have to haul some spoils out and back in.
Okay.
But that's right where the fire was when we had the fire
Yes.
2 years ago, last year. And that actually provided us pretty good access because it burnt the little shrubs down. So we were able to get in there and look at the pipes a lot easier. But yeah, no, I think we're okay. Any other questions?
I have a couple small questions.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
First small question is, what was that detour sign? That I
State. There was a downed wire down on East Shore Drive. And so we come up through there and we were detoured on the Cuba Heights Road. And then never dawned on me. And then we come back down through there and the detour is lifted. But they must have left a sign. That's a really valuable sign.
Okay.
I got to get it back to them. I think it's the DOTs.
Okay, this is just a sign on Key Heights Road that was detouring to nowhere, and
I've been seeing the state involved a lot in like detours. If there's like utility work, tree work, or accidents, I've been seeing the state get involved with detours a lot more.
Second little question is, did you find nice homes for those speed signs?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We will.
And the third little question is, did you have on the September or October schedule
The chevron signs.
yeah,
It's nice down there now. It's definitely more visible on the guide rail, so we can get in there and get some work done.
okay, so that's on
Yeah.
your to-do list?
Yeah, my main thing is to get the blacktopping done because we don't have much more time into that, but yeah, it's on the list.
Yeah. And
It
then-
definitely exposed the signs more, getting rid of some of that.
And then I guess it'll be late fall, but we talked about you clearing the
Ditches.
ditches on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
north side of Wedgewood?
Yep.
Yeah,
We'll get in there.
okay, those are my little things.
Yep. Yep.
Rodney, sorry.
Trails be opened up.
Soon. They're actually putting shoulders on them right now. They're doing an excellent job up there
That's quite
and
nice, what I've seen.
yeah, it looks really good. And, we did a lot of storm work. The trail was kind of magnified into this storm plethora of work. So we were like, I wanted to be in there in a week, but it felt like it took several weeks to do. And we couldn't dedicate all our time to the accidents that come up or emergencies and stuff. So it was hit and miss. But yeah, they come out nice. I'm hoping the residents appreciate them. Because, you know, it's quite an intrusion to allow people in your backyard. I like it. I like the trails. It makes a nice walk path for people, and you see a ton of people out in that area walking dogs, and they get out of work at lunchtime. It's amazing. Get doctors, people of all kinds come out of the doctor's offices on the craft, and that's the first place they go, up through there and walk around. So it's pretty impressive. Very high traffic, foot traffic neighborhood. Definitely.
Have you started, are we doing any landscape replacement along that trail now?
No, I didn't plan on it. There's a lot of trees that we spruced up. There were like a lot of dead wood at the bottom, and we cleaned them all up, lifted the limbs to kind of make it more lollipop, and I was just noticing up and down Trip Hammer, I'm kind of concerned about for all the trees. I know there for a while Lisa wanted us to get some trees back that were missing from accidents and stuff, and I kind of explained to you guys the balance between a really younger tree and a very mature tree is what we're seeing out here. These trees are actually starting to push the walks. I was just looking at them. So in a few years, we're gonna have to start thinking about what we're gonna do with it. Just take a look at the walk. And how I noticed that was we had somebody trip on a little bit of a edge over here, and Jody brought it to my attention. We did a prior written notice kind of form we fill out. We highlighted it with some sticks and some some flagging of some sort. And when I was walking up and down through there, the sidewalks are really starting to kind of buckle a little bit.
Yeah.
So these trees here are getting big, and you notice the canopy on them. I mean, we went through 3 years ago and hit them pretty hard. Well, we trimmed them pretty hard, and man, they grew back quick. They're already, like when we come out with our truck, because our trucks are higher, we can't see up the street at all. I mean, to the point that we're halfway out in that lane before you can actually see by these two trees right here. So it's a concern. More of a columnar, I mean, that's the design of them was to be like a columnar, like the pears are columnars. These are, I don't know what kind of tree these were, is a cova or I don't remember. They were like a elm or something like that. They're more of just a big lollipop top. And we hit them trimmed them hard, and they come back even better when we trim them hard. So we got to think about that. They were planted in 2006, so it's been a long time, It'll be 20 years. Just take a look at them and start thinking about what different things you want. We got to start thinking about, I don't think it's something we have to do right away in the next couple of years. The problem with them is the infrastructure is so tight out here. You have curbs, behind the curbs is an infiltration trench. There's storm sewer underneath the curbs, and directly under every one of these trees out here is a 2-inch conduit about that far down. So in them roots, they grow around all that infrastructure.
And into it eventually, I would think.
What's that?
Into it.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I see it doing it actually is cutting the trees eventually when we do something with them, is cutting the trees off and grinding them in place, because I'm scared to actually pull that stump out. You're gonna be pulling the curb, you're gonna be pulling the 2-inch conduit, the street lights, and then it might undermine the sidewalk, so.
Okay.
So just something to think about, what you wanna plant in there down the road, we have to start thinking about. Lynn Leopold, the flowering pear was such a great tree, but apparently I didn't realize this, the flowering pear is an invasive tree. It's not a native tree to the area. I did not know that. And how she pointed out was, she said, look at all the trees that are growing on Applebee's side, Taco Bell side, they're all flowering pears. I think they're beautiful, but they spread really, really invasive. I didn't know that. So, and David Fernandez from Cuba Landscape said the same thing, so.
Mike, advice from David with your concerns about what they might suggest that we.
Yeah, definitely, we should.
Someone who knows.
Maybe it's the rec committee, recreation committee?
So,
Greenway Committee.
I was gonna mention this when I came around, which is, Lorraine sent to me the email of the Cornell professor who does the Student Design Connect project, and were we interested, because I've been talking a lot about updating our design guidelines, and those design guidelines have trees and an outline and like a vision for Trip Hammer Road. And so I emailed the professor, and he said, good timing, we're just considering projects. I said, would you be interested in this for the fall or the spring of next year? And he said, good timing, we're just considering projects, I'll talk to the students about it. So we might start thinking sooner than we would have thought, because design guidelines and the Trip Hammer corridor and what it's going to look like in terms of trees is definitely like something I'm thinking we are going to turn to shortly.
And with AI and all this stuff, they can do models to show everybody. There's some things to keep in mind too. What kind of led me to I wasn't ignoring your question about doing some landscaping up in Lansing Trails. It got a little deeper than this, but they just, remember I reported to you that they were trimming the 3-phase lines? I didn't realize it, but they cut a lot of the tops of the flowering pears. And which made, I was just so shocked, because I remember when.
He does want them all
They were
done,
like,
so.
they were like this tall 20 years ago, you know what I mean? Now they're all the way up into the lines. So we definitely have to think about what we want to do. And I think.
Make it part of this project.
Yeah.
The last time the students, and I don't know if Design Connect were the people who came and did the mall presentation, which I found
Yes.
to be useless.
Yeah, it was,
It
well,
was a pipe dream. It wasn't.
absolutely.
Yeah, so this would be more geared towards changes that we'd be in control
could.
of. Because or else it's unnecessary, in my opinion.
yeah.
I think there's approximately 50-some trees out there. So if you figured about, $1,000 a piece at least, maybe more like 2, because you got to remove the existing ones.
The labor.
And then replant, so, and it's all rate, it's all prevailing wage.
Yes.
So, I'll kind of study that a little bit, and then we'll see if we have any money left in trees to put something up in there. I think it would be good. I actually got a person up there, just south of Rob Swarthout's property, that kind of recommended, because we did kind of trim that one tree when we changed that culvert, we did trim that a little bit, and I think it kind of opened it up for her to see her neighbor's house. I mean, it's kind of a hamlet, so you're gonna see your neighbors.
The only reason I asked is that Deborah and I walked through the other day to look at everything we've done. It was really, really great job. But it looked like there was a new tree really close to it, and I wondered if you had started planting trees. It could be that one of the residents.
Saved them as many trees as we could,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's
Sounds
something.
like no.
We just watch it and see.
Yeah.
We need to add some later. I think it's a good.
But anyway, just keep, think about what you wanna do for trees. It's gonna have to happen. It's unfortunate.
That is something the Greenway Committee will probably, especially Lynn, will
Yeah.
want to have.
She's pretty sharp.
She definitely cares about the trees being native, non-invasive, and
Yeah.
a certain resilience.
Yep.
Particular to
Absolutely.
salt in our
And salt
neighborhood.
tolerant, that was the
Salt,
thing.
okay.
There's only a few trees that
Yeah.
you could really choose from, because like the honey locust was famous because of salt tolerant. Problem is, they had a million little leaves that were plugging the catch basins. So catch basins are, a factor. There's twice as many catch basins as there is trees out there. The salt tolerant, rapid growth, you don't want so much, because then we're in this position we are in now. So anything with some time. Take a look at some of the trees that we planted in the village. The columnar oaks down in the Beckett Way Boulevard, they're pretty nice. They grow kind of up, they don't get really huge. Problem is, they may produce a leaf that doesn't biodegrade quick. Their oak leaves they stay around until spring, So, and that's typically what happens, like the fire that happened down on East Shore Drive. Those leaves stay there, they get really crispy and super dry. Maple leaves and the other leaves, they kind of decompose over the winter under the snow. Oak typically aren't that aggressive. But anyway, that's all I have.
Carolyn, can you stay connected with the Cornell Design Connect people and ask them if they would consider us as one of their projects?
I did that already.
So you've already
I already
taken
did
care of
that.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And he said, good timing, I'll talk
Okay.
to some students and let you know.
Okay.
I guess it depends if they're interested.
Are we doing any more bulbs?
We didn't get the grant for the bulbs.
We still have.
We could buy them if we wanted to.
So I was kind of.
Guy will do it.
I just think they were, what I liked especially about them, if we can go with the other brand that you had, I can't remember what it was. There was the daffodils and then there was another species.
Hyacinths.
Yeah. In June, they were ready to be mowed. They were beautiful right up until then, and then there was no maintenance after that. You know what I mean? They mowed, it went back to grass, but in the spring it was beautiful.
Well, if the Board of Trustees wants to spend the money on that, I do believe that the planter would be willing. I haven't spoken to him, so it's already September. We have a month, it's probably enough time for him to get organized.
Yeah.
I didn't consider it. It may be too late to purchase, I can ask him.
Yeah, if we have to put in
If
an
it's too
order.
late, and how much would we want to spend? What did we spend last year? 3,000?
$20-some hundred for all the bulbs, I think it was, 400. I mean, if you did 1,500 or something, if they would even come over for that a little bit,
I
don't
think you
know.
would, I don't see why not. We could just do 3 of the parks instead of 4 of the parks.
Yeah, I would just kind of, you know,
I will say this, the residents did appreciate it, because I got a lot of comments
Yeah.
from residents. So the feedback was like, you guys are out there beautifying.
it was huge. They were
We could
actually,
do it a lot more efficiently in terms of manpower. We didn't need it, we didn't need to
Yeah.
go out there, it kind of worked itself.
Yeah, a couple of people to follow the trailer and stop the grant now.
just to have DPW and maybe, you know, I mean, it was just for the demonstration at the time.
Yeah.
We did that. And
So do people want to spend the money? Do we have the money?
$1,000 or something.
I think,
Well, I don't know why we shouldn't, and there shouldn't be as many, the impact, you'll still have the foliage from the,
Get half.
We need pollinators. We need pollinators everywhere we go. And that's the biggest thing, is we don't have pollinators, you know, honeybees and all
The
that
only
stuff.
tricky part is if we do hyacinths, we have to make sure we do the lines in front of the old lines, so we'll have to just kind of notice where they are and go like a foot in front. It's not that big of a deal.
we've got a video where we put them.
I know, but you know what I mean, just so like,
Yeah, yeah.
or else if they're
You have to
behind,
stagger them.
then
Yeah.
the shorter things have to be in front.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's not the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to
We
allocate.
also need to get Cuba Landscape in here. Our
Yeah.
food is terrible.
Yep, I agree.
They were here,
Yeah.
and it looks awful.
Yep, yep.
I was noticing that. when
Half the stuff out here really kind
Save
of.
100
I mean,
bulbs for here.
We don't, I've seen 2 monarch butterflies. We don't need to leave all these milkweeds. I mean, I can see leaving a few around the rainbow.
Right.
I didn't get rid of all of them.
But
They're in the forest. We could save 100 of the bulbs and ask them to put them here.
it would be nice if we put some bulbs in here.
Why don't we save 100 for here?
It'd be a lot less maintenance. We can mow them when we're done.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys want me to see if
yes,
it's,
investigate the cost.
if we could
You don't
do-
spend up to, you don't say spend up to $5,000?
Well, bulbs,
we only spent
Let's-
2,700 last year.
Okay, all right, so,
does that include labor? We still have to pay
No, I
attention.
mean, if you're gonna, we already pay for our highway, or you guys, you already paid for it. I would say if you're gonna spend like $1,500 for all the bulbs, that's what
Okay,
he had suggested.
1,500. then.
okay.
All right,
I'll ask, I hope it's not too late.
It's this, you know, they come back in so fast. They come in, we planned them last year, they were in this year. I
Okay,
didn't think it would be that good.
okay.
all right, good. Yeah, thank you, Carol. Anything else?
Questions with the invoices or anything?
I don't have any questions, that is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
And Mike was out today, so Jody, what do you have for us?
So as John said, we had a notice of deficiency on the sidewalk out front. I have 10 days to report it to you guys. So this is my report. A lady from Pennsylvania who works at VCA tripped on the sidewalk, 2 trees down from our driveway. She fell and broke and scratched her glasses. She also had a small cut above her right eye. Unfortunately, unless there's a prior notice of defect, the insurance won't compensate her. So Courtney got the report, he put those red sticks in, and it's really not that big of a difference, but I think maybe a cell phone had to do with,
Yeah, typically we watch them all over here, going like this,
yeah, not watching.
and all of a sudden, poof, you know?
Yeah,
Put your phone down for 5 minutes.
Okay, so, and New York State Retirement is requesting that we file an official standard workday resolution for employees on Form RS-2418. The employees' workdays are listed in the employee handbook, and we just need to include other positions that were approved by Tompkins County, even though they are not presently filled. They want the information, like I said, on RS-2418. So the resolution would be to authorize clerk treasurer to submit the standard workday form RS-2418 to New York State Retirement, establishing the following standard workdays for staff positions. Like I said, this is already in our handbook, and it was done by the board, but not on their official form. So we're just being official.
we're just filling out the form?
Yep.
Okay,
So a standard workday, I have to list all titles. Mine is 7.2 and everybody else is 8 because of I work a 36-hour work week. So we just need a resolution for that.
I will move the resolution that Jody can
So,
fill out the state form RS-2418, correct? All right. Susan seconds, any discussion? All All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jody. It's not going to
Okay.
take you much time.
No, that's just a standard workday.
Okay.
Now, we have to, because when we first started, New York State Retirement said you have to keep a log to give a amount of time to each planning board trustee, because we had one of each. Now we just have one trustee that's on retirement. So what they want now is for both boards, and Ronnie just did this for his salary increase, to record for 3 months the amount of time that you spent and what you did as your capacity as a trustee, and the planning board will also have to do that.
Jody, I was actually going to ask you about this, because I spend so much more time than I get credit for. Is it possible to retroactively repair that?
Have you kept a log of all the time you've done?
No, not at all.
Okay, so I found out that you don't have to go along with the standard that we set if you keep a log of all your time, all the time. So basically, every quarter, you would turn in your log, and I would add up how much time that you spent, and then that would be the amount of credit in days you would get.
Okay, because that's good, because I'm about to go to the conference.
So, yeah,
All right, I guess I'll have to start keeping a time log. Okay.
This is only for people already enrolled.
no, everyone has to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, they want everyone to do it.
Is this for
And then-
all of
so
our
this
boards?
is-
All of our boards, BZA?
Committee.
BZA doesn't have to, because they don't meet.
Enough, it's not enough time to record.
It's just, it's basically, and we don't have anybody in that, so.
Okay,
It's just because we have Carolyn and Yamila was in for planning board.
okay.
So that's why everyone has to do it, because they have to set. So basically what we'll do is I'll take those 3 months from each person, and they'll put it together, and they'll tell me what they feel is the standard workday, and then go with that if you don't want to keep your time. However, if you're in the system and you want to keep your time,
So my same question goes, can I retroactively change my time if I wasn't keeping a log? Because it's off by like 1,000 hours.
I don't think the state,
I don't think they're gonna go backwards.
I think they would need a record to show how you came up with the numbers to justify that, and if you don't have the records, you
Yeah.
can't really.
But I have a form in my office that I can give everybody.
Oh,
To start
that would
filling
be
out,
nice.
yeah. It's just basically the date, the amount of time you spent, and what you did.
Right.
So,
Brief
attended a trustee meeting, hour and a half.
Planning board, didn't we?
Huh?
We did that last year for planning board,
You did it for 1 month, they want 3.
went 3.
Yeah.
So if we have, you can give us a form, and I'll make
Yep,
it simple for
yeah,
you.
yeah, it's
We
just a-
certainly don't want a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so we need to do that. Okay. Next week is NICOM, which Pat and Carolyn and I will be attending, so we won't be at the Monday meeting. So everyone got the proposed local law G. Do we want to talk about that? Previously emailed to everyone. And then there was a new version that came through after the.
Yeah, we can talk about that now. I had it on my list for later, but we can do that now if you'd like.
I just want to make sure that I have the right resolution to give you guys for Monday.
Right, and Natalie sent us a revised law dated September 9th, and she had made the recommended changes for the law, and it included the chart of uses and.
So the most of the law update is regarding the business and technology park.
Right.
So what happened was when we updated the chart of uses for that section, there are various sections in the code that refer back to that. And so I said to Natalie, okay, this is everything in the chart, and there's these, I've highlighted these sections of the code that all need to be updated along with that. And so that was like 90% of the law. For her sake, at the same time, she knew of other small changes that we wanted to make, and so she tossed in some of those. One of them is the thing that Mike and I thought was archaic with regarding banks and whether or not you can have an ATM in a non-bank. And we talked about it briefly at the planning board meeting, and that's going to stay in, I think, the new resolution. And then the controversial portion of it, wait, is this in the law of intent also with the changing of the zoning to CMT, or is that totally separate?
No, it's
Is it in this, or it's totally separate?
paragraph D, second page. Top, clause 2.
Yeah, okay, so that's also in it. So then also, although the B&T stuff is non-controversial, we also have this question of, and this is the important question, of whether or not we want to make the change to the commercial medium traffic district to high traffic food and beverage.
Yeah.
If we wanted to take that out of this law, then we have to, kind of start over with it. If we want to leave it in the law, then we can go forward with this version. So as Jim will say, when we went through sort of the chart of uses review that Mike and Lorraine had put through at the planning board meeting, we did have a kind of a longer discussion about if we do this update to commercial medium traffic districts, what will be the implications? There is a large-ish parcel that would then be allowed to have high traffic food and beverage, and would then be allowed to have drive-throughs. While Lisa was the most opposed to it, she was actually okay with 2 drive-throughs in the area, but I had suggested, why don't you just limit it to 1 per parcel, which everyone was more happy with, so then they went with that. The question that Mike Scott raised, which is not something that's a developer raised, by the way, this is Mike, theoretically you could subdivide into 3 parcels, and then you would theoretically be allowed to have 3 drive-throughs. The solution to that is one of 2 things. You could either say you can't have contiguous parcels with drive-throughs as a separate change to the code, or all drive-throughs have to be X number of feet from other drive-throughs, which would also be. So one of those 2 code changes, I believe, would prevent the issue that Mike Scott is theoretically proposing of that then having 3 drive-throughs. If they were to have 3 drive-throughs, it would be because the buildings themselves are so small.
Is McDonald's considered to have 2 drive-throughs because they have 2 side by side?
McDonald's is already
Grandfather.
Right,
grandfathered, so
but, so you see what I'm saying?
for somebody new.
We were okay with them doing 2, would be okay with another parcel doing 2 like them. See what I'm saying?
Another thing that could pose a problem is too, if you have 3 smaller parcels, that's 3 driveways in that vicinity.
That wouldn't work for a lot of reasons. I think it's a hypothetical.
I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a
Let's just say there
hypothetical
was a
that would
little
not come to pass.
I mean,
But it is of concern. Obviously, that's not the outcome we want. There wouldn't be any curb cuts because it's all going to come through Craft? No, what is the name of that road?
Hickory Hollow.
Hickory Hollow, thank you. So there wouldn't be no curb cuts, but 1 drive-through was definitely palatable to the planning board. 3 was definitely not. So we would need something to supplement this, saying, like I said, maybe we can discuss this when Natalie's here, one of 2 things, either limitations by distance or limitations by contiguous parcels.
Can I chime in?
Yeah.
As to your question, Jody, about McDonald's, nobody thought of that at the meeting the other night about whether that was 1 or 2. I guess my quick off-the-cuff answer would be, well, that's 1. They may have 2 actually in there, but that's 1. We're thinking more in terms of separate establishments, like a Burger King, a Wendy's, and a Dairy Queen in a row. I think that's what.
You know what I was
Planning board
thinking?
was
There are 2 right next to each other, Kinney Drug and Tompkins County Trust. It doesn't bother me at all. So it just also depends on the usage and then the configuration. Those are definitely right next to each other,
Yeah, that's a good point.
and it doesn't bother me.
They're not that close, but you're right, they're next to each
Yeah,
other.
there's quite a lot of distance.
And the buildings are, I'll just say, more attractive than a typical fast food establishment, but I know you had said one of your projects for the future was to get into.
Design, back to the design guidelines, yeah.
Yeah, so fast food places can be made to look really nice, but the village would have to do something.
Yeah, so that is in this law now, because when Natalie put the law together, she was throwing in everything that she knew was, what she thought was settled. And so if you think this is settled, then this law is ready to go. And if you think that either the bank teller thing or the parcel change is a problem, then we have to rethink this. I think it's okay as long as we consider what our next move is shortly thereafter.
Can I chime in with one other comment? This is just a minor drafting point, but in terms of thinking of, researching the history of things, I noticed like at the top of page 2, I didn't catch this the other night, or would have thought of brought it up. It's hereby amended to remove the subclause, and then everything else is re-lettered. And when you're trying to research the history of something, of legislation or an ordinance, when things get re-lettered and renumbered, it makes it a lot harder. Because I noticed on, I guess, the third page, M, N, and O, the deleted placeholder will remain with the words intentionally deleted. So, when in the future, people that may want to research things, they can accurately track, what the current language is or what it was in the
You
past.
can also go back and look to change this as a local law. So if they want to know what the change is, like in the code, you'd have to put local law, changed by local law, 2025. So you could go back to the local law to see what the change is.
Yeah.
That's easy to do, and plus I have the other folders.
Yeah, it is easy to do, but sometimes over the years, when I was working, and had to look at statutory changes, and Section D is not what it was 10 years ago, and actually 15 years before that, Section D was something else. And yeah, it's doable, but it's just makes it harder, and it's easy to make a mistake.
Now that the planning board is really looking at the code carefully, there was quite a bit of support at the meeting to go back to reconsider the general codes proposal of code update, because people were finding that, I think Natalie had asked a couple people to look at some other municipalities, and she sent them to their e-codes, and they were like, wow, that was so much easier to deal with than ours. So I don't know if that would solve the problem that you're talking about, but at that meeting, people talked about how much they liked the e-codes, the general code work from other municipalities.
No, I remember that discussion. I don't know if that would address the issue that I was talking about here.
I'm not sure, but.
Given that there are 3 other places where there's going to be intentionally deleted language in the placeholder, whether it's a letter or number, why not just do it for the other section too?
I don't know. So how do people feel about let me ask this first. How do people feel about the proposed local law with the exception of the high traffic food and beverage portion? Is everybody happy with it except for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now my second question is, how are people feeling about the change of allowing high traffic food and beverage in commercial medium traffic?
Okay with it. I like the idea of restricting drive-throughs by distance, much contiguous, but by distance.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
As long as, certainly you put a lot of time and effort into it, and I listened to the meeting, and it makes sense. I think there's a way to control it with design and special conditions, going forward. At least the intention is there,
I don't know what do you mean by that?
that we don't want something that's not going to work
For the village,
for the village.
correct.
And so with that intention, I think we can move forward with confidence that the work,
Make one more change.
yeah, yes, there you go.
Okay.
Kathleen?
I just want to be sure nothing is perceived as any spot zoning, because, and I'm also looking ahead at potential use for, owner, potential developer, look at going through the chart of uses, would you want all of those uses? And there are some definitions that are still a little bit unclear. It would be nice to have the definitions from, what is it, section 145.3?
So is this in regard to the chart of uses generally, or the changes for business and technology specifically?
Well, we added a lot to business technology
Correct. Because the definitions and the is kind of part of the code
Yeah.
change that the planning board is doing right now.
Right.
They're reviewing all of those.
It seems to be still an ongoing process.
Correct.
Because there's still some things that need to be worked out. So it would be nice to have those definitions cleaned up.
That is being done, for sure. They're talking about them one at a time.
Right.
And they're considering that in the next couple months, if not already.
That could be
Is there something in
incorporated.
particular that
Well,
is bothering you with regard to B&T?
Just in terms of how many local laws do we want as opposed to consolidating into one local law?
Well, I think the thought process was the B&T stuff, and I do recognize
Yeah.
now that two other things got tucked into it. The B&T stuff being kind of settled and uncontroversial and its own sort of area that, needs our attention. The whole code changes that the planning board is doing is more of a 6-month process. And,
Yeah.
I didn't see that we needed to necessarily wait. And I think I mentioned that at one of these meetings, do you guys mind if we go ahead with just the B&T stuff? Because that's settled. Because then it would be happening now. But I agree with you, I mean, ideally, everything's done at once, but then you run into nothing gets done, because something else hangs up.
So when we were first putting the code together, there was always a change, and they said, you either get it done now, or you're never gonna get it done, because you're gonna keep changing, and that's the beauty about a code, that you can
It
change it by
evolves.
local law.
Yeah.
And it evolves with you.
Yeah, so yeah,
It's ideally, you're right, it'd be great if everything could be done at once, it doesn't happen though.
I think if we wait for everything, we'll be waiting for a long time.
By the time you
And
can
then,
finish,
yeah,
it's
there'll be
time to come
change.
back and start
Exactly.
again.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending process.
Is there a definition for B&T that you're not sure about?
Club, mixed use, utility storage, transmission storage plant.
You also gotta remember that the airport up there has its own, a whole nother level of regulation.
And the combining district, the 3 combining districts, the impact.
But it looks like utility storage plants is allowed in every district. I don't know if that's a change or not. And it's always a special permit.
And then pharmacy, is dispensary different? I don't know if we opted in or out with the cannabis.
We opted in.
We opted in. So is that reflected somewhere here?
That's a good point. The planning board hasn't really talked about cannabis dispensary, Jim. That's a good point. We should remind people to think about that with regard to all the code changes.
So those were the things that just popped in my head, just going through. The footnote changed, I noticed, V1 versus V2. Is that significant? This is my ignorance here. The old one was V2, this is V1. It's on the bottom of the chart.
Yeah, this small type at the very bottom
Yeah,
left
I don't
corner.
know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer
I didn't notice
either.
the footnote on the first one, so.
But yeah, I don't have a copy
This
of it
is the
either.
most recent.
That may be an internal copy. related to
That comes from
Natalie's,
Natalie.
Natalie's
She's keeping
office.
track. Yep.
It's her, this document number for this document is the 4911 dash 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 number, comma, version 1. So this is version 1 of her document. It's not version 1 of our code. When we put this in our code, that number related to her office will disappear.
Thank you. I had no idea.
I didn't even pay attention to that, but that's what it is. Because that was the file name. It was associated with the file name, the dash numbers. The 12
Does anyone
digit.
know the page of the chart of uses in the code?
Yeah, I do. I've got it.
I don't know. I just searched for chart of uses.
45019 or 16. I don't remember. 145, 119.
Oh, 119.
And then the typical uses, which are just examples, is 145, 120 to 125.
Where's my chart of uses? I don't have it. This is the old one?
That's the old one.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so storage is not a change. What were the other ones that you had objections
Well,
to?
I had the question about the dispensary.
Dispensary,
Where
yeah,
that
that's
would
a
be.
great question. We should definitely ask the planning board to think about that with regard to,
And telecommunication facility,
so what I would say with regard to dispensary, with regard to a business and tech park in particular, is that the landowner does not have to rent to anyone they don't want to. It's not like when it comes to us, and if somebody's acting within our code,
Right.
we need to follow the law. They are independent actors who can rent to whoever they want, and if they don't want a dispensary in their property, they don't have to have one.
right, but I'm just thinking forward, what do you envision for the village and where?
Yeah,
In terms
no.
of the future, vision
I'm not worried
For the-
about them
for the map, future map.
putting in anything that isn't aligned with their greater picture, and they're gonna be way more cautious than, A, we're allowed to be, and that B, we even wanna be, because they're very protective of their own area. So it's definitely a good point that we should think about throughout the village.
Yeah, if it gets sold and you get somebody else in. That's all.
Another thing to consider, this is kind of an aside, but it shows what's happening with the Business and Technology Park, is the Ithaca Area Economic Development Agency is working with Tompkins Community Bank on potential tenants for the Business and Technology Park. And Deborah made them aware that we were getting ready to open up our code a little bit so that new uses could come in. So when we get that done, we should communicate that I can do it. Just the village needs to communicate that both to the Ithaca Area Economic Development Agency and Tompkins Community Bank and the Business and Technology Park Management, so.
Yeah, of course, I was gonna tell them
they're
as soon as we
They're
pass
thinking
this.
about putting another branch up there?
No. Tompkins Community Bank owns the property,
What property?
all of the Business and Technology Park.
Oh,
All
Yeah,
of the buildings.
But didn't somebody else?
Buildings, the
Hasn't it-
land, Cornell owns the
Lands.
land.
Cornell owns the land.
Hasn't
Building,
it been sold though? I thought
Not that I'm aware of.
someone else after the bank got it,
Not the
because I got
last,
a telephone call.
last I heard, last night, there was a discussion, it was still Tompkins Community Bank. Unless it's after that, I don't know.
It was a
There might be,
couple weeks ago.
no,
They
not,
took over and.
it didn't sound like it. Unless they've got a manager that the Tompkins Community Bank put in, within the management, but I'm not aware of it.
no. Yeah, it's complicated because there's a landowner, and then there's the buildings.
Buildings, yes,
And it's not the same.
yeah. No, it's not the same.
And the landowner still has control over the uses of the buildings and the tenants.
Right, so they have a what is it? First refusal, thank you. I was trying to.
And then I know there was the talk of the schools and what was included under the definition of schools and versus professional. And that was finally incorporated in, right? To health, human service, and to business technology, was it?
I did have a call that someone wanted to know what specifies a school, because they were interested in the property up at the end, which is no longer going to be daycare there, but they want to know, like, can it be like dance studio? That's still considered a dance school, or that kind of thing, which I don't.
That's a legal question, yeah.
How broad
is school?
definition? That's why I was coming back to definitions.
We should ask Natalie that question.
Yeah.
I know that the state has some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's the Office of Family and Children's Services, sometimes it's Department of Education, it's whatever regulatory body.
My guess is that the dance studio is not a school, but that's just my hunch.
It might be age-related.
It didn't qualify for
It
school
is.
zones signs.
Right.
The daycare didn't.
It didn't qualify, no.
And some are just registered and they don't have to be licensed.
I mean, like, yeah.
So
So
is the
how's it
question,
defined?
is there a question before us today for the proposed local law that we need to answer? It's on the agenda for Monday?
It's on the agenda for Monday. But I didn't know if you guys want, if this net law is okay for Natalie, or if you wanted to make changes, if you were happy with one drive-through, if you wanted two drive-throughs. Did you want some other kind of specifications in it? You guys can always discuss it some more on Monday.
I want to have additional specifications, but they're not necessarily for this law. I want us to have discussions and ask the planning board to think about how they want to propose a limitation on drive-throughs in general for the village, knowing that some contiguous ones are quite helpful and non-offensive, and some contiguous ones, the planning board members don't want to see McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's in a row. So insofar as those are the balances, what does the planning board want as a future law? But I think that that's secondary to what we have here.
Well, I think we'd still be amending this.
We'd be amending
In
the
the
code in a
discussion.
different way.
No, but I mean, we'd be still amending this with these tweaks that local law, proposed local law G.
Oh, I think it would be separate, because I think people have to really think about how they want to.
Well, and here's the thing too, I say, let's just think about the parcel across the street. If you're thinking the only one drive-through, so you have that big lot, then you have a drive-through here, but then if you have two drive-throughs, then they could subdivide, and then you could still end up with 3 drive-throughs.
Right, unless we do
So what do
something
you,
else, like say
yeah,
no
so what are you
contiguous
trying,
drive-throughs or no
what are you
distance drive-throughs.
envisioning for what you want it to look like?
I'm envisioning it, we want one drive-through, is what we
Two
want it
at
to look like.
the very most, but
Lisa was
that's
okay too,
that's just me speaking off the top of my head, not for the planning board.
yeah. Yeah, that was, the vibe of the planning board was 1, 2 at the very most. So then we have to think about how do we want to change our code?
And the 2 is very much an it depends.
Yeah.
I'm only looking forward to one driveway.
Well, that's the other thing, if you start dividing the parcels.
You said it was-
One drive.
And then we'll just.
You said it was hypothetical.
Think about down the road too, when you have different owners, you got different owners of all 3 properties.
It's just such a short drive, and there's really no way to signalize at those intersections.
Well, let's,
And that's the hard part. You got controlled stop signs.
so then it's not gonna work for the special permit, on the special permit level.
If that's.
Yeah.
The special permit, but if it's already subdivided, if you subdivide, you go into the county, right?
No, you subdivide it, and then the county registers it at different parcels,
That's right.
and then Each one could have one drive-through.
Well, each one could come to the planning board with a proposal, and that could may or may not
But I mean,
be appropriate for the parcel.
but.
So they couldn't
there's
develop
room
something
in-
that's subdivided.
Yeah.
But you'd still have driveways to contend.
Well, we're trying to limit the amount of driveways
Yeah.
in that
So
quadrant,
maybe-
that's what I'm trying to say.
So maybe then the limitation law is driveway related,
Or square
not-
footage in.
and not, yeah, and not
Lot size.
contiguous,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with drive-throughs. It has to do with driveways and contiguous parcels with driveways. So we have to think
mean-
about that,
Right.
how to best,
How Dryden's pushing them on limited access highways, as I see it, where the old book barn is, there's three properties there, they made them put in one driveway and had a shared driveway. You
so
know, there's ways to doing it that way too.
that's a good idea.
You know, it's like you have to put covenants, restrictions either on the property, if it's subdivided, that they have to have a common driveway. You know, come in, left. Kind of like what you see down in the strip malls.
So that's a good idea, so.
Shared parking.
Area, so parcels in X district and Y district that are subdivided must have a common driveway, would be a good idea,
There you go. There you go.
as how to phrase the law. But that's what we need to work on next,
I mean, who cares about the drive-throughs at that point? I
right,
mean, they could split parcels or whatever, and still have two, but a common driveway.
okay.
It's easier, then you don't have three driveways approaching the highway, and you got the delivery truck in the way, and this car can't see past the delivery truck. It's just a chaos. Limit
We
the
should bring
driveway.
that to the planning board.
Yeah, but I don't think the planning board, even with this solution, wants to see, three, like you said, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and Dairy Queen
Right.
lined up.
Right,
But they don't have to be. Let's take, for instance, the mall up in Cortland. They have like a sleep therapy center in there, and then they have, Verizon, and then maybe a restaurant,
we also have to say that this is hypothetical,
Yeah.
because first of all, you have to sell from a owner who may or may not have, broad-based expectations for what the property's gonna yield. And then you have the developer who's coming in, we've not spoken to them, we're just surmising that they wanna do A, B, C, they wanna subdivide, like, no one said that. That's just kind of like us thinking about what's a potential, which is very good for us to do, but it is just a potential. And, and maybe they would like this idea.
It's a 2-acre lot, so.
But also in terms of maintenance and fire and plowing, how all that impacts.
You always have to consider a lot of things.
Right.
So there's a lot of places where
Yeah, I mean, you can't plow snow, you can't clear sidewalks, you can or cannot do. So planning board needs to think about that.
so I think we should ask them to think about how they want to consider our commercial area with regard to potentially people wanting to do more drive-throughs.
Above all of this, the predecessor to the discussion about putting high-traffic food and beverage in the CMT is one person, one developer, wanting to put three drive-throughs on that property.
But he hasn't said that.
Yes, he has.
I thought he said 3 food and beverage establishments. He didn't say they were all drive-throughs.
No.
he did?
Three drive-throughs.
Are you sure?
Yes. Because, according to him, the franchise industry in the country after COVID-19 determined that drive-in, park, and walk-in restaurants no longer are successful.
Okay.
Their success rate is something very similar to the Taco Bell, which has a high-traffic drive-through with a small sit-down.
Yeah, lobby.
Those are the ones that succeed right now.
I mean, I'm not an engineer or an architect by any means, but I can't see putting 3 drive-throughs in on an acre and a half and still have the access to drive. You're gonna have all macadam parking lot and no building.
Right.
Small lobby, pretty much no lobby at that point.
There is one of them, the one that he mentioned, two of those would be like, I guess what you might call a standard size drive-through, like we're talking about, a Taco Bell. But the other one is just strictly a drive-through. It's just like a cubicle-sized business for coffee only. There's one over in Cortland.
Isn't what they
Just
wanted
says-
on that little parcel right next to the senior living?
These people have to get delivery vehicles in there, and a lot of them
Right.
come by tractor trailer. You should see what
The logistical side.
McDonald's goes through when they pull a big McDonald's tractor trailer in there. I mean, it gridlocks the place,
But that's definitely a consideration.
you know, I mean.
It's not just commercial traffic, it's the,
Logistic wise, the trucks are getting bigger and making more stops than smaller and more companies. Their drivers are hard to find.
Right.
So that's all plays a factor.
yeah.
So we have to move sooner rather than later
Right.
with regard to whatever next step we take.
I think that allowing drive-throughs with commercial medium traffic makes sense for our village because it might alleviate the zombie property over here. Not necessarily with three, but at least with one or two, maybe three. But the engineering side of it, the practical side of it, as John said, might not allow three.
And we have,
But we have, sorry,
no, go ahead.
I've been thinking about this. This is one of the highest traveled pieces of road by vehicular traffic in the county.
Yeah, huge.
And people that drive through might be prone to stop at drive-throughs. And there are a lot of businesses in this area. There are people where there are not that many restaurants, but they can drive to something, pick up a lunch, sit inside a small area, or during their lunch break, which is brief, or take something back. So I think that we should not throw out a business strategy that allows drive-throughs, but we should use design guidelines as much as we can to make them look nice, not your Elmira Road drive-through situation where it's just line after line after line of drive.
So there are some commercial guidelines that we can, well, no, I guess we can't rely on them because they're specific to commercial low traffic, and now we're talking about commercial
So the
medium
design
traffic.
guidelines don't specify
Well, they specify quite a bit, but they are
Low
commercial medium traffic.
medium traffic.
I mean, sorry, they're commercial
Low
low
traffic.
traffic, so they actually would not apply, unfortunately,
So
unless we
that-
want to,
Update.
well, I know we want to update,
No.
but I'm saying unless we want to just quickly make a resolution that this also applies to
Also
commercial.
apply- Well,
commercial
if
low traffic, and
if
that's
it's by
possible.
use, that would be appropriate because we're removing the uses that were
I mean, it
once-
says North Trip Hammer Road.
Well, that were CLT, we're now, if we pass this, could potentially be CMT, so that would be an easy. But I agree, the design guidelines need to be updated and used by our village, rather than a document that sits on a shelf and gathers dust and is not enforced or applied. But
Well, interesting. I wonder if everybody could take a look at this, and maybe we do want to pass a resolution that says these design, until we get a chance to do a real update, apply in commercial low traffic and in commercial medium traffic. I'm not saying
Let's let
we
us look
should.
at it. Let's
Yeah,
take a
I
look at
haven't
it
really looked
first.
at it yet either.
and
But
this.
let's think about that as a potential stopgap measure.
Okay, let's come back to that for a second. Let's get back temporarily on this local law G. Do we feel that this local law G right now, although it is not perfect, could be considered for a public hearing? And
Yes.
we want to set that
Monday.
at Monday's meeting.
Yes.
I mean, that's the question today.
I agree with Susan.
I agree. Pat? Kathleen? You
No,
can say no.
no,
Okay. So
but
I will move, I don't know if it needs to be formal, but I move that we set Monday night's meeting, local law G, to be, to formally be proposed for a public hearing for our October 6th.
It's not gonna pass because she already said no, and these two will not be here.
But why
There's
can't
only
we,
three of you,
why can't we Zoom?
unless, huh?
Why can't we
Because
vote by
you will
Zoom?
be in a dinner at that time,
That's not,
unless you want to set the public hearing right now
we could,
Well, why don't we just move forward and set the public hearing?
for September or October.
October 6th.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I will move that we set a public hearing for a local law G for our Board of Trustees meeting on Monday, October 6th, 2025 at 7:35 PM.
Second.
Susan seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? One. Kathleen is a nay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, now getting back to the design guidelines.
Everybody just look at them. If you don't have it, Jody recently forwarded it to me, so I know I have it in an email, easy access. So I'll just forward it around to everybody.
So that's a digital copy? Is it a digital copy? In other words, if it's in an email? Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't have, I haven't.
Electronic.
I have not been able to find a copy anywhere.
I've just had this printed copy forever. Oh, it's an appendix to the comprehensive plan. Carolyn wrote that right on the top. I don't know, Carolyn wrote that, that's my handwriting. Anyway,
Okay, never mind.
it's from June 2001. Jody also sent me at the same time a design guideline for high traffic that was never adopted, so you can look at that. And then some notes that somebody made, I don't know who, on how they wanted design guidelines to change, which predates me, I have no idea who wrote these. So these three documents, I'll forward to everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
And, because I actually just sent them to the guy at Cornell.
Because that would be useful, so we all have a starting point. Everybody knows what's been passed around, because it gets,
Let me,
from
we
my,
also want to give it to the planning board.
sure.
yes, please.
I thought they already had.
Jody, you have it, because you sent it to me.
Okay.
I'm gonna forward this email that I just,
Is it a word? What are we looking for?
I think the documents are Word.
An email with attachments, so you're
This
looking
is to Michael, if you guys don't mind, I could send you guys a separate one, but this is easy enough for me to just find really easily.
Would you send it separately so it becomes clear?
What do you mean by separately? You don't want the email from Michael, to Michael? Okay, all right, then I'll do it from home.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so send everyone to, I'm gonna forward you Jody's email.
Okay,
There, that's good.
good,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, no problem.
So Jody, we're still within your session. Well, you've had a long session today.
Yeah, I'm not done either.
I know. What's next?
Approving minutes from the 14th and 18th, we have to do them
Separately, yes.
So the 14th, Pat was not there. Would you like to approve those? All of your corrections have been incorporated.
I will move that we approve the draft minutes from August 14th, 2025.
Second.
Carolyn seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
See,
Pat abstains.
18th,
Okay, I will move that we approve the October, I'm trying to jump ahead, August 18th, 2025 draft meeting minutes. Jody's provided.
Second.
Susan seconds. Any discussion?
And those have the corrections also?
yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
And then you approve the vouchers?
Yes. Did everyone have a chance to look at the vouchers?
Yes, sir.
Were there questions? I will move that we approve the September 11th vouchers.
Second.
Susan seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll sign the checks. Okay. Anything else, Judy?
That is all, that's enough.
That's kind of a record.
Whee! So, okay, so I do have a question. So we're not going to have setting a public hearing for G on Monday, but do you want me to add to the agenda? All you have right now is deer in general discussion. Do you want me to add about the CLT or any of that, or you want to wait till everyone's back?
I think it's better that
Discussing it?
everyone's back for that
Just remove
discussion.
this?
Yeah, just
And do you have
remove.
anything else to add to the agenda?
Oh,
Okay.
no. I noticed you sent out an email about the deadline for the October newsletter,
Yep,
the 24th.
yep.
We were going to meet on the 2nd to draft stuff for the newsletter.
It needs to be done if you want, because I got to get the brush pickup. That's usually what we do it around, and it's on the 6th. And I am taking this on, that is the last possible day, because I go on vacation that Saturday. So,
And we know that because this is.
unless someone else wants to do it.
Okay, all right.
So meet sooner.
We know what topics are going to go in the newsletter.
Let's just talk about that. I do have a draft,
Of course you do.
draft newsletter already prepared.
Of course you do.
Newsletter, fall 2025. All right. So the mayor needs to talk about updating the email and our new address. All brush pickup we know is October, he said the 6th, right?
Yeah,
October 6th.
Okay. I'm going to talk about, in my section, about the Village of Cuba Heights and sewer and water and how the rate's increasing. We need an update about the Cuba Heights Road sanitary sewer expansion project. John, can you do that?
Yeah,
Okay, you'll update that, and then we'll talk about how the variance and that kind of thing. Comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about that.
Right? And also the town trail to
I
the
was gonna say
village.
something about that too, I'll tell you in my speech.
Let's see, Greenway Committee, what they're working on needs to be updated.
Okay,
Probably you guys will want to give an update, one of you, or if not both of you, on the NICOM school training.
On the what?
NICOM school we're going to next week,
sure.
so, and that's all I have.
Another topic is,
newsletter.
we need to once again announce our bronze level attainment by the CSC. I had some topics that I have in a file, and I can send those out this afternoon.
Also, we should mention the new people.
New people, yeah, and within the planning board of zoning appeals. Trying to think, I started a list last week, and I just can't recall all the topics. Some of them are ones.
Well, they'll all
many
be
of them-
right in your little mayor's comments.
They'll
you
be
go.
there, and if I'll send my list out and just recommend people to write it, particular topics, but I think the topics were ones that I could write if I needed to, so I'll enhance Jody's list with potentially a few more. The newsletter, so, okay. Anything else for Jody?
I want to give them a heads up about the budget process that's coming up, or will there be?
It doesn't.
a newsletter?
It's way too far in advance. Usually our next letter goes along with the budget being, the public hearing being set. That's the next one that goes out. If you would say anything now, it's way too early.
Okay,
We don't even start talking about it until
Okay.
February. or
We
March.
will have a budget.
Yeah.
That's about all
We
we
can
can
put
say.
something on our website.
I guess, we might could say something about, if we have the Cornell Design Connect people coming in too.
You won't have anything.
We might not, yeah, we might not, but,
A little early.
yeah, we're not gonna get anything that soon, that's true. Okay.
thank you, that helps.
Anything else from Jody, for Jody? Okay, we will go around the room. Carolyn,
For the comprehensive plan, I asked Pat, because he had volunteered to make it pretty, which is a very short word for the actual huge amount of work is involved in formatting the documents. I just wanted to ask you how that's going, if you need anything.
I haven't started yet.
Okay,
I've been kind of swamped at work.
okay. I do think it's gonna be a project, and you'll need documents that you don't have, so let us know as soon as possible. The Trails Committee for the Greenway in Lansing is going to be submitting a survey around, just done by their consultant. And when I see a draft of that, I'll send it to everybody, even here, because, we are also townies, in addition to being villagers, so maybe you'll want to fill that out with your feedback. They have a couple of public events scheduled where they'll be trying to solicit public information, so I actually hadn't heard that they have so many public events out there, but keep an eye on what they do out there and try to participate as much as possible. So Lorraine had mentioned to me that the YMCA was having is it Preparedness Day on the 20th?
Well, the airport is on
The airport is preparedness. So the airport's on preparedness, the YMCA is having,
they have the food, they have the hub.
I'm blanking on what the YMCA event is called, but what I wanted to say is that I spoke to Frank Towner? Towner.
There anymore.
I know, who was a former director of the YMCA, and I said, hey, the Y is having this big event, and we've been talking about community outreach and just being actively engaged village, and so, you guys are having this big event at the Y, we should maybe have, I don't know, just had it on our radar screen.
I already have them on my list of when I'm requesting newsletter articles, and they already got back to me, they're gonna send me something.
For that.
For the newsletter.
Oh, great.
Yeah, once a year they will, that depends on if there's turnover or what's going on.
Well, what Frank said was I always gave Jody
Yeah.
the update,
Yeah.
and I didn't know if they were still, but they're having food trucks at this event, so obviously the village has known about it for a while, because they must have gotten permits from us.
When is?
We will ask Mike about that.
The event, I'm blanking on the event right now, sorry. It is, no, that's not it, I'm looking up.
And I can't recall hearing anything recently.
That they applied for permits for food trucks. It's United Way and the YMCA, they're gonna have a cornhole tournament,
Oh, okay.
and
Join the
it's a day of caring, that's what it's called, Day of Caring.
All right.
And it was just kind of the kind of thing that we've been talking about, like, let's bring more active happenings into the village, and there is one happening. And so I guess my question is, which I don't really know the answer to, is we've said, okay, we want this type of thing coming in, great, it's coming in, is there any next steps from our point of view that we do, or we just are happy that this is happening? And I don't know the answer to that, but that's just what I was thinking about when I heard about it.
Well, we could always publicize it on our website
Right.
once we hear from them.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to share that, or if they have posters, we can put them on our bulletin board, or.
So it's called A Day of Caring by United Way, a gay community lifting each other up, Saturday, September 20th at the YMCA, community carnival, food trucks, personal care drive, cornhole for a cause, which is that cornhole tournament, and yeah, it's a United Way event coming here, so.
Okay. Yeah, we can put that up on the website for sure. We just don't have a venue. I mean, we've got Marion Hartill Park, or the Hartill Park now, that we could hold kind of large-ish events, but we don't have a venue like Stewart Park, with pavilions and bands and so forth. We don't have it in the area where we
Like a town
can
center.
have something. And
The design guideline proposals, build a town center. You'll see it
Building
on
an
page
event.
3 or whatever.
So, but I agree, yeah, the more, I know, I would love to have a food truck court where we could have a food truck event. Those are a blast. But it's
Do it at the
something,
mall.
As long as we don't have grease.
then you got to worry about potholes and parking. But
That's it from me.
thanks,
But you're
Carol.
doing a better job, Ronnie.
Okay. Susan?
Nothing from me, except 1, 2, 3, 4, now, maybe potentially 5 Bolton Point meetings.
Bolton Point, yeah.
And there is a 50th Bolton Point celebration being planned.
Next year.
Next year.
Right.
Which ties into this whole issue that we're having with wastewater treatment and all of that. But it sounds like that's another good community event that's happening in the future. So that's it. And no youth services board meeting.
I already mentioned it, but I forgot to say that I did attend the planning board meeting. We pretty much covered most of the information from that meeting.
Yes, you did, because I listened. I was there.
Oh, I mean, today, I pretty much already summarized it.
Yes, you did. You did it well.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Susan?
No, thank you.
Okay, Patrick?
I don't have any. Well, I've tried several times to find out when the Joint Youth Commission is meeting, and nobody's gotten back to me. So I don't know, message through Facebook.
Who
and then-
did you ask?
I don't know. I just sent them a message through Facebook, and then I was told to email this address. I have no idea whose address it was. And I've done that, and nobody's gotten back to me.
I used to be on it, I don't remember who.
I got it, excuse me, in relation to this topic, I got an email from Rick Alford, coordinator of JYC, Community Youth Services, and basically letting us know of their 2026 funding requests. So what I will do is I will reply to his email and copy you and say, as far as I know, the funding request is fine. When we have a discussion, if we have a discussion and say it's too much, they're not raising it by a terrible amount, 3%, I think. But you've been trying to contact someone to join the meetings and no one's getting back. Please contact Pat. So,
And I'm surprised he didn't get back to you.
yeah.
He got the email, because,
Yeah. So I will do that this afternoon, Patrick, to see if I can get that. I thought of the two meetings, that one was the more interesting one. It's a good group of people and they work hard. So I think you'll appreciate it. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, Kathleen?
Just that the Lansing did have the sustainability picnic at Myers Park. It was interesting, and I tabled that with the Environmental Management Council. And then Cuba Lake Intermunicipal Organization, their August 27th meeting, it was at the Cuba Lake State Park. And there were two presentations, formation of surface foam on the Finger Lakes, and Stella Woodard and Rick Smith from Global Aquatics Research presented their initial findings on the chemical composition of the foam and the interaction with the fluorine fluoroalkyl substances, the forever chemicals, which turned out to be surprisingly high. It seems to suggest there. This was just initial research. There's additional research that's going on, and plans for additional collection, sampling, analysis, et cetera, of both the surface, the foam itself, the surface micro layer, and then the lake water under, just to track the differences. And the next thing would be to look at the heavy metals as well. But and then they'll have a stakeholder meeting and, next step. Then there was a research update on the Seneca-Cuga Canal that connects the two lakes. And that was Isaac Walker from Cuba Lake Watershed. He's the watershed manager. And Lisa Kleckner, Finger Lakes Institute director. And it was basically an overview of the hydrology of the lake and the canal, the flow path and the impact on the south end of the Cuba Lake, and some of the issues they have addressing the water quality issues and implementing the best management practices. Other things. There is a meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and that's the County Environmental Management Council, and the topic, there is a guest presenters on sewage sludge spreading on farmland and protecting food and soil from PFAS chemicals, and that's Clara Walsh-Winsler and Katie I'm killing the last name, Balidon, Northeast Organic Farming Association, New York. And then, let's see, Water Resource Council is Monday, September 15th, and their presentation is with Lydia Brinkley, and it's Riparian Buffer Coordinator, Upper Susquehanna Coalition, and it's permanent protection of and best management practices to help reach the TMDL goals, the toxic minimum daily level goals. And all of their information is on the website, all their minutes are on the website. So just go to the county website. And Cuba Lake Watershed, their presentations and all of their information is also on their website.
Anything else?
No.
Did we vote on the vouchers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we covered the topics that I have except for our migration of the villageoflansing.org to the .gov domain. That's supposed to start tomorrow. John Bram from HPM said the weekend of 12th to 14th. I suspect that we won't start the migration until after business hours tomorrow, but I'm not sure. I'll be working with him throughout the time, answering his questions and trying to get it done across the weekend. Our website and potentially our emails might be down for a period of time until we get it all straightened out. And at the end of that, anyone who tries to visit our .org website will be redirected to the new website. And the new emails will have to be created in the new domain, and then I will create a forwarder in our old .org domain that will forward the emails from any .org email addresses to the .gov domain. So there will be some work to be done. Now, John may know a way to do that automatically where it's a domain to domain forwarding, but I haven't been able to find anything that was.
Does it forward to spam too?
The spam will be with us forever.
I think
just,
it's a lot worse.
huh?
When you went on vacation,
Yeah.
ever since that time, we've always had a lot more. All these orient, like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
weird.
I have to, you have to just think about the technology right now. There are people that we think of AI as, oh, that's a great thing, it does a lot for me. Well, there are people out there using AI for nefarious reasons, and they're going to see more and more spam.
Yeah, this is bad.
James, do you
Like
want to slide?
50 every 3 hours.
Now, quite frankly, I'm hoping that moving to the .gov domain will filter a lot of that, because it goes through government domain servers, and they might have a better filter, but I am not.
Is there a way we can just not connect them?
3 hours?
Oh, it's
That's not
ridiculous.
usable.
It's ridiculous.
Every day, at least.
At least,
I
yeah.
do too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Can we not connect them?
Connect them.
like, have them forward all over to their, can we just keep the parallel emails and give us time to convert everybody over to them, rather than connect them and have them all forwarded over?
That's what I will be doing, but so if you're saying, if John knows a way of doing it domain to domain, don't do that. Just do one.
I would rather eventually just wean the people off my old email and then leave, because if you connect them, it's gonna happen. I mean, once they recognize that, they'll come in, you can blacklist them, whitelist them, whatever, they're just gonna connect. I don't know much about computers. I drive truck and run equipment, you know, me.
Unfortunately, though, what has to happen is that when you get a valid, if someone's not aware of your email address, if we don't forward that to you, they won't know that they didn't go into you.
How about we
might not
kick them back to them with our new email address?
Will you hit 100% of the people that you have to hit? That's the problem.
If every single email that comes in gets a reply that says, please note, this is my new address.
Yeah, I've seen that
Spammers
happen.
don't care, they won't look at that, but the people who care will then send a second email.
That will exist. It will, there is an autoresponder that will say that, and you can always do it personally too.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to personally do. I get enough emails, and then we get our business cards changed, we get our letterhead changed, we do all this changed, and I can wean them off myself. I'd rather not have the two even somewhat remotely connected. It's gonna blast us with spam.
The problem is, once our website is up and all of our new email addresses are online, which we have to do because for public transparency, your emails will start again. I mean, your spam mails will start.
Ronnie, did you talk to these guys about, I had no idea you guys were getting this much spam, I don't use that address. Did you mention to them that it's a huge problem?
I have not.
Maybe we should see.
I can ask him as we're
Yeah.
doing this, is he aware of a way of getting rid of some spam? But
Right here is just,
This Gmail does this automatically.
this right here is just.
So obviously, the technology is out there. Like, if you ever go into your trash in your Gmail, you'll see there's tons of spam that you never saw.
Maybe 50.
They have filters in place.
I don't even get that.
And our current servers do that too, but it's adjustable by me on how restrictive it is. And it's a fine line of restricting spam and not restricting acceptable email or valid email.
Sounds like you're not close to the fine line, 'cause
So there's a couple of cyber and AI classes at NICOM that they suggest we should do.
okay.
Those are more about catching things in your personal emails and not opening, what not to open and what not to respond to. But with this transition, I'm hoping it takes care of some of that. I just don't know until it's done. And that's the reason we're using the HBM services, because they did go through this exercise with the Village of Cayuga Heights. So I'm building off of what they have done, and so that this transition will be a little bit better. But as I'm working with John, I will mention the emails and spam, and is he aware of a way of?
It's gonna be the least connected, the least connected way.
Yeah, what's the best way to leave the old spam behind? And I'll see what I can do about that, but that will start sometime tomorrow. So across this next weekend, the website at some point will be down, then back up again. And I'm not going to be surprised if there are issues that we catch or I catch after the fact. Oh, this is a thing that we missed. So if something like that happens, I'll resolve it as quick as I can.
So I'll be able to update the website like I normally do? Or is that going to change?
As far as I know, that won't change, but you'll be going into, you'll have to go in through the .gov website address to do that. As far as I know, if everything works.
This is gonna be quite painful.
Yeah,
Technology always is.
I'll tell you what, the New York ID that I had to sign on for a village account so I can get the DOT highway permits.
Yeah.
The old email.
Right.
You can't change it unless you delete the whole account. No, you cannot. No, I already called the guy because you gotta delete the account and apply for a new one. So then I gotta roll all that other paperwork back in there because the state is going all electronic now. There's no gonna be like manual highway permits or anything like that.
I'm not surprised.
You know, which is fine, I don't really care, but a lot of your places, like, once you use your email for your user IDs, you can't change them.
I have a couple of accounts that are like that too.
Yeah, just a few accounts, I wouldn't say they're all that way.
Well, it's gonna have federal, state, New York State Retirement, New York State Deferred Comp, the bank. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be.
I'm telling you, you wait till you try it once, they're gonna want all kinds of stuff. Literally, you might have to fill out paperwork to get it changed.
The only thing I can tell you is that this pain would have been bad no matter when we did it.
Oh, absolutely.
And now people know why you're doing it, because we're being requested by the state to do it, so. I apologize.
Find another resolution.
For all of the pain, but it's something that we have to do, and and that's why I wanted to get a contractor in, because at least what we can control will be as smooth as possible. After the fact, it's like remodeling a home. You don't know what you're gonna find when you open a wall. So.
We all are in at the ground level, so we understand the challenges and what we need to do as a board,
Just be aware.
but also personally,
Yeah.
what we need to do.
Yeah,
pay
there are
attention
some,
to.
there are things that you do need to do. So I will make it as easy and transparent as I possibly can. I like to make it just totally invisible to the end users, but in this case,
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather.
we're hearing things that,
Socket.
Yeah.
I mean,
trust me, I'll have 5 feet of the hand and 5 sockets.
But to make it easy for you, if you can keep us informed about what not to open or what to look for, and whenever.
My best advice is, before you open any email that's not from someone, and even if it is from someone that you know, first thing I do is check the return email address.
Yeah, like I got one the other day from you, it said, we need to do something discreetly, and I'm like.
Or John wanted to change his bank account information. It wasn't John.
It wasn't me.
You have to look.
Man, there's some clever stuff out there, and Ronnie's like, I'm like, I go up to the from, and it's not, I've never even heard of an email like that before.
That's the best way.
If there's a.
Called you too.
Click on the little eye.
Ronnie Hardaway.
Next to it, and that'll tell you what the
Bizarre.
address is.
I did the same thing to Don Hartill.
Yeah,
I got this thing, I was going, wow, this is weird. Why is Don wanting me to send that?
And if we're looking on our phone when we're outside doing whatever we're
Walking
doing,
along the sidewalk, this button.
tripping, which I don't do, I look at my feet, I know where I am, but just because we're going through this transition period, I think we have to be hyper vigilant,
Yeah, I would agree.
because if I get something from Ronnie, woo, if I get something from John, if ever I got anything from John, I'd be like on it,
Yeah,
right.
we all are that way.
Is there anything else?
so we can't be that way.
No, okay.
Could I just say one thing real quick? I forgot. Jody, for the website, or Ronnie, whoever does the website,
I'll be right with you.
the Climate Smart Communities, there is no September meeting because it's scheduling conflict everybody has. So it'll be, next full one is the last Thursday of October. I think it's the 30th.
Send out reminders anyway, right?
Well, actually, Jody said,
Jody.
yeah, I will.
I don't send anything out.
I'll send
you
out
sent
a
it to
reminder,
me.
but you send the
I'll send
thing.
it because you request it from me.
Right.
And so are you
What
here?
need to do is when is it?
So it's the 30th, it's the last Thursday, 1 to 2. And then we were just having a working group meeting on the 2nd.
You said September 30th is the next meeting?
No, October.
October?
Uh-huh. The
Okay,
September.
yeah, I'll be here, so
Cancel.
just before the meeting, you give me a call and I'll set up your Zoom link for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that reminds me. Not just before the meeting, like 2 days.
Yeah.
So that reminds me.
Okay, I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Carolyn seconds. All those in favor say aye. Thanks, everyone.
When Jody stops this, I have a comment.